Smackdown was taped in Berlin, Germany tonight. They are going to be back in that arena in less than 24 hours for the Bash in Berlin. That'll be tomorrow afternoon. Tonight was the go-home show, and as go-home shows go, it was just okay. It doesn't really help that 2 of the 5 matches, only 2 of the 5 tomorrow, are actually Smackdown matches. We did get some video packages promoting the other matches on the card tomorrow. Smackdown-wise, though, Women's Tag Team title match, WWE title match. That's all that's on the agenda for tomorrow's show. They need Roman Reigns back as soon as possible. That much is clear. Coming out of this show, I don't know when his next appearance is going to be. He's not currently advertised. Even for the SmackDown debut on USA, he was pulled. So I'm not sure exactly when we're going to see him again, but the sooner the better. Sooner we see him, the sooner we can move things along with the Bloodline story. Not much movement at all. Really no movement. As far as anything Bloodline related tonight, we had one pre-tape segment. That was about it. One last face-off between Cody Rhodes and Kevin Owens. An intriguing segment for some of the little wrinkles they threw in there, including one story that I think we can extrapolate from this segment tonight is going to be told during their match tomorrow. I'll talk about what that is. We also had 2 titles on the line. We had a United States Championship match, actually an open challenge, and a WWE Women's Championship match, which at the very end featured the return of Bayley, the former champion who we have not seen since she lost the title to Nia Jax back at SummerSlam. Only one more SmackDown left on Fox before they move back to USA. We should throw a party here on the channel once they leave Fox. Adios. They will not be missed. We got one more to go. This is your Friday Night SmackDown review for August 30th, 2024. Second to last stream for the month of August. We got one more to go tomorrow. I am the Solomonster. Do me a favor, like this video. Get those super chats on in if you would like to do so. You could support the channel and what I do. I certainly appreciate those of you who do so. I also want to give a quick plug here for those of you who may be interested in the Pro Wrestling Tees Labor Day sale, which is currently in progress. It runs through Monday at 1 o'clock Eastern Time. That includes all the shirts in the Sound Off store. You go to prowrestlingtees.com/SolomonsterSoundsOff. And all the shirts in the store, 20% off when you use the code LABOR24 at checkout. Now through Monday. So go ahead and take advantage of that sale before it is too late. Always got a good sale going on around the holidays, so definitely take advantage of that one.
I am the learning tree.
Oh boy.
Thanks, guys.
Hey Raymond, thank you for the $12 learning tree. You wanted to sit under the learning tree tonight. See, Solomonster went a little nutty the other night on the Dynamite stream. And he was chopping the learning tree down, but I think I've gone to anger management, and I think things have settled down. Let's see how long it stays that way for. Raymond, thank you. I appreciate that. Michael Cole and Wade Barrett were handling commentary for the show tonight. For those of you who don't know, Michael Cole is going to be on SmackDown going forward until January when they're back on Netflix. Starting this Monday on Raw, Joe Tessitore will make his WWE commentary debut. It will be him and Wade Barrett doing commentary on Monday nights. Cole and Corey Graves will handle the commentary on Fridays. So that is the announced situation as it stands for the next few months. LA Knight was out first to a monster reaction for his United States title open challenge. He talked about how it has been 27 years since this learning tree gimmick began. No, I'm sorry. It's been 27 years since WWE was in Berlin for a major televised event. He talked about how he had his first successful U.S. title defense in D.C. last week. And if he was going to defend his title in the capital of the U.S., then he figured he could defend his title in the capital of Germany. He then called out anybody who wanted to come to the ring to challenge him, and that brought out Germany's own Ludwig Kaiser who came out and got the kind of reaction that you would expect a native German would get here in Berlin. He came out, got a great reception from his fellow countrymen. He spoke a little bit of German, and then he said that he was going to win the title and make it his own personal European championship. It's been a while since we've had a European championship in this company. Knight said that was impressive for Gunther's stooge, and he drew some boos for that. Wasn't drowned out in them, but he was booed. Crowd didn't really know how to react to LA Knight at this point, because they still liked him, but obviously they liked Kaiser more because he was, representing them. So they were a little confused here. They did do his catchphrase, though, at the end. This led into the opening match, which was for the United States Championship. It was LA Knight defending against Ludwig Kaiser.
It's the amazing Gunther.
Oh, look who's joining
Jerry
us.
Lawler loves Gunther, the Magnificent.
Yes.
All hail Gunther.
All hail the mighty Gunther and the mighty Drew Johnson, who just dropped a $50 bomb.
It's a direction you can fuck.
And Donnie Yasu telling Drew where he can go. Immediately following that up with a 23. Hey, Drew Johnson says CM Punk, let's fucking go. HBK is the GOAT. Bad Blood 97, baby. Bad Blood 97, Hell in a Cell, still the best Hell in a Cell match of all the Hell in a Cell matches they've done. One of the greatest matches in company history. You and I are on the same page there. I don't disagree. Drew, I hope you're having a good night, man. Thank you for the 50. And Donnie Yasu, thank you for the 23. Just sending some good vibes. Have a great holiday and PLE weekend. Sending it right back to you, my friend. So Kaiser and LA Knight. Kaiser got Knight seated up against the ring steps outside and did his run around the ring spot we've seen him do before. Drop kicked LA Knight into the steps. A little bit later on, Knight went for a BFT. Kaiser rolled Knight up for a 2 count. Kaiser hit a clothesline and a knee to the head and then got a Kaiser roll for a near fall. Kaiser set up for his finish. Knight countered out of it, hit the BFT for the win. What we did get from them, I thought was good. It was a good match with the German crowd, as you would imagine, solidly behind Ludwig Kaiser. But it's not like they turned on LA Knight either. Kaiser is someone, I mentioned this a few weeks ago that the Undertaker actually talked about Kaiser on his podcast and had some very nice things to say about him, and he thinks that he could really be a player at some point, and I feel the same way. I think that Ludwig Kaiser absolutely, one day, could be Intercontinental Champion or United States Champion. Intercontinental might make more sense for him, but that I do think is in his future. I don't know when, but it is something I'd like to see him get the chance to run with at some point. He's very good. He's very expressive as well, as far as his facial expressions, his mannerisms. He's similar to Ilya Dragunov in that way, although Dragunov is far more animated than he is. But that I do think there are similarities there. But again, he's very good, and hopefully he gets more opportunities in the future to be more than just Gunther's friend. I don't mind Kaiser accepting the open challenge, even though he's a raw talent. I mean, that didn't bother me at all. Might bother some people, but I'm happy for him because I was worried he wasn't going to be able to get a match at all this weekend. I thought he would have a match on the PLE. Triple H is keeping them tight to 5 matches. He didn't fit into those plans. Tonight's show, and they do this a lot with the international shows, they'll run SmackDown in the same venue 24 hours before. So he ended up getting his match in Berlin after all. And he got a match for the United States Championship. So it wasn't on the PLE. But I'm very glad that he was able to go back home, get a match. Because how often do they go to Germany? I mean, this is the first German PLE that they've ever done. And you heard LA Knight in the promo tonight. 27 years since the last time they did anything, like a television event in Berlin. So I'm glad he got on the show in some way. I don't really care how. But they found a role for him, and I was very happy that he got that spot. I don't know if LA Knight is going to continue the U.S. Open Challenge stuff. The gimmick, we know the open challenge gimmick has been done to death in both companies. But John Cena had a great open challenge for the United States Championship many years ago. I don't know that he can replicate that. And Cena was a bigger star than LA Knight is right now. So it's not like it can't work, but if they're going to do it, what I'd like to see is maybe run a couple more challengers over these next few weeks. Find the one that you can sort of latch onto with him. Use the open challenge as a way to then transition him into a proper program with somebody. So if they use the gimmick in that way, and not just because they don't know what to do with him or they don't have a really good opponent for him to feud with, that's how I would use this gimmick. And then whoever that person is, I mean, look, Giovanni Vinci, they mentioned tonight, is going to be making his re-debut next week on the show. I think you can build Giovanni Vinci up after a short period of time, and he could maybe challenge for the U.S. title. I'll throw another name at you, because he is technically part of the SmackDown roster. Shinsuke Nakamura. He was drafted to SmackDown. We haven't seen him since. We haven't seen him in months on TV. Would not at all surprise me at some point soon. Maybe he even accepts one of the open challenges, but to see him maybe as the next program for LA Knight. And it'd be a role very similar to the one that Cody was in last year when they had Cody slotted with Nakamura, and I think they got a couple of matches out of it. I could see them doing the same thing with LA Knight. So that's just something to keep in mind, because we have not seen Nakamura in a while. I could see him popping up here. After this, it was a while before we got our next match, because we had a video package for Randy Orton and Gunther to promote their World Heavyweight Championship match tomorrow. And then after a break, we got a Nia Jax video package to promote the Women's Champion. Get ready for even more videos tomorrow on the PLE, since it's only a 5-match card. We have Baron Corbin and Apollo Crews taking on Los Garza, Angel Garza and Humberto Carrillo, both of whom signed new WWE deals recently. I guess they got a new name, a new team name to go along with their new contracts. Legado, as I'll still call them, Legado worked over Crews after a commercial break. That did not last very long. Crews moved out of the way when Angel charged at him and hit the post. Corbin got the tag and ran wild. Crews tagged back in. German suplex to Angel. Humberto stalled his momentum with a springboard kick. Things broke down. All 4 men end up down at the same time, and the crowd here in Berlin gave them a standing ovation. Corbin chokeslammed Angel on the announce desk. Elektra Lopez, though, distracted the referee. Santos Escobar ran Corbin into the ring steps. Crews went to the top. Humberto, though, cut him off, and then Legado hit their pop-up knee strike that they called the MTY, which we were told is short for Monterrey, and they picked up the win. 2 teams not in the title picture, but I thought as a match it was perfectly solid. They aired a Bloodline video with Solo Sikoa, and we've seen this before. Solo Sikoa once again sitting at the head of a table. Tama Tonga, Tonga Loa on either side of him. Jacob Fatu standing in the background like this. Maybe I feel like I should have somebody on these streams that stands behind me at all times, like this, as I speak. Can place the Ulafala around my neck when I'm done here, since I'm the tribal chief of these streams. I'll have to get in touch with Noah. I know he's down in Florida, but he's not doing anything. Maybe we'll get him up here. He'll stand behind me like this the entire time. So Solo Sikoa is sitting at the table. He said next week, the Street Profits and DIY will take on the Bloodline. He said the 4 of them will acknowledge him, and then he turned his attention to Cody Rhodes and Kevin Owens, who of course are wrestling for the WWE Championship tomorrow. He said it doesn't matter who wins. Whoever walks out with that WWE title, he is coming for them. I hope not. I'm starting to get a little worried. You know, Roman Reigns was advertised for that SmackDown on September 13th, and now he's not. Maybe they want him to be a surprise. But he's no longer advertised. I don't know how long they're going to keep him out for. And the next PLE after this one tomorrow is Bad Blood. And there's no other obvious challenger right now for Cody, although I'm holding out hope that they could extend this Kevin Owens thing another month, depending on what happens tomorrow. I'd much rather see that than have them rematch Cody and Solo on that show to set up another Roman return. I just can't imagine that they're going to run the same angle back a second time. and have Cody and Solo and then have Roman yet again, as he did at SummerSlam, make another grand return on that show. I don't want to see that. So hopefully this is just a tease and nothing more. Because the last thing I want to see is Solo Sikoa yet again challenging Cody Rhodes on a major show for the WWE title. You want to do it on TV. But honestly, I really don't have any interest in seeing it at all. We had SmackDown General Manager Nick Aldis in the ring to introduce champion and challenger for Bash in Berlin, Cody Rhodes and Kevin Owens, for one last face-to-face before their big showdown. Once they were in the ring, Aldis said, "Floor is yours." And he left the ring. Michael Cole said that it was nice to be back on SmackDown with a competent general manager. You know, he better watch himself. He is going to be back on Raw in January. It's not like he's gone forever. So I'd be a little careful with my mouth if I were him. So Owens started with, "Cody, what do you want to talk about?" And Cody said that everybody was all fired up about their big match tomorrow for the WWE title. Owens got serious. He said, that's all well and good, but there actually is something I wanted to talk about. He said, wanted to talk about what happened to your knee on the recent European tour. They had just shown highlights before this from the European tour that wrapped up. I want to talk about your knee and what happened on the tour. So Cody said, "No, my knee is good." And he very quickly pivoted to a different topic. Wanted to talk about what happened last week when the two of them teamed up to take on and beat Grayson Waller and Austin Theory. Cody brought up what happened after the match, when it looked as if, with his back turned, Kevin Owens might have been setting up to crack him in the back with the WWE title. Cody said, "Look, I'm not accusing you of anything, but with your track record, I had to ask the question." So Owens dismissed the question about his track record. He reiterated how everybody in that video that we saw last week, everybody that he betrayed had it coming and they deserved it, except for Kofi Kingston. And for the second time, he looked into the camera and he again apologized to Kofi for what he did to him, because Kofi is a nice guy who did not deserve that. So Owens brought up, "Look, you know of the relationship that I had with your dad. Because when Owens came in, it was in NXT and Dusty was there." So he asked Cody, "How could you think I would stab you in the back?" Cody suggested, well, maybe Owens is a little upset. Maybe he's a little angry with him. Back in 2015, 2016, when Cody left the company and ventured out on his own, he said that he walked into or visited the same rooms that Owens walked into and Owens came from. And he walked into those rooms with many of the same people that Owens did. So basically implying the Young Bucks and not only the run in Ring of Honor that he had and this stuff in New Japan, but of course starting AEW, all that stuff without mentioning it. And he said when it comes to this renaissance in the pro wrestling industry, maybe Owens doesn't get enough credit and I get too much credit. Owens said he wouldn't do that he kind of glossed over it and ignored it, but he said he wouldn't do that to Cody. Once again, he asked about his knee. He brought it back to Cody's knee. Owens said that he was getting text messages from people on the tour who said that Cody was limping badly in the back, and he was spending an hour each night in the trainer's room. Cody referenced a few weeks ago when he first pitched the idea of this match, and he asked Owens if he still feels like he, being Owens, is an unworthy challenger. So basically, Cody was doing everything he could to deflect away from this purported knee injury that he says doesn't exist and he's perfectly fine. But boy, he's really working hard here to not talk about this knee injury. And Owens won't let it go. And he says, if your knee is okay, then how come when you came out here, you didn't kneel down on it like you normally do during your entrance? Owens said, it was 8 years ago yesterday that he won the Universal Championship. He said people told him he didn't deserve it. And the only reason he got it was because of Triple H. Which, if you go back and watch the match, that's exactly why he got it. I mean, Look, I mean, look, you can't really dance around it. Triple H, if you remember that fatal 4-way on Raw, Triple H interfered in that match. We hadn't seen him since WrestleMania. He got involved. He directly caused the elimination of Roman Reigns. It came down to Owens and Seth Rollins, who had been buddy-buddy with Triple H up to that point because Triple H handpicked him to be part of the Authority. But that's the night that Triple H kicked him in the gut and gave him a pedigree, and then Owens just covered him and won the title. So, yeah, I would say that Triple H was pretty responsible for Kevin Owens winning that championship. So it's funny how he brought that up, but he said that tainted his run as champion. Ruined the entire thing. He said he's still bitter about it to this day. I'm more bitter about the way his run ended and to whom it ended. Not so much how he won the belt. It is hard to believe, though, 8 years have gone by since Kevin Owens held one of the top belts in this company. And they even mentioned that it's been not 8 years, but it's been a few years since Owens has held a singles title. It might be like 3 or 4 years since Owens held any kind of singles title in WWE. I mean, it's pretty surprising when you think about it in those terms, considering how long he's been with the company for. And maybe that entire time he wasn't always featured in main events, but I would say by and large, he was probably featured more as a main event performer than a mid-card performer. We know he had all those matches in the pandemic, the early pandemic days against Roman Reigns in front of no fans, and some matches in front of fans. And how many times did he fucking lose to Roman? Has Owens ever beaten Roman Reigns? I guess in that 4-way match, you could say technically, because they were part of the same match. But I'm talking like one-on-one. I don't think Kevin Owens has ever beaten Roman Reigns. So it's been a while since he's held singles gold. Owens asked, what's going to happen when I beat you at Bash in Berlin? And Cody took exception. He got very hot about this to Owens using the word when. When you beat me? Cody said his knee is 100% rock solid. He said that he would be angry too because the day after Owens worked with Steve Austin at WrestleMania, he had to share the spotlight with Cody. Because if you remember, that was the WrestleMania where Cody made his return to the company. So all anybody was talking about was the return of Cody Rhodes coming from AEW to WWE. It kind of did overshadow everything else. Cody said he loved Owens. He didn't quite say it the way that Jacob Fatu loves Solo Sikoa, where, I love you, Solo. He didn't say it like that. But he did say that he loves Kevin Owens. And he questioned whether they could still be friends. Are we still going to be friends after Bash in Berlin? Why would you want to be friends with him? Did you not see the video they aired last week? I mean, this is a man who has had no issue sticking the knife in the back of his supposed friends multiple times before. I don't know that I would want to be friends with somebody like that. So that's what he wants to know. And Owens tossed the microphone down. He walked up to Cody and he whispered something in his ear. And then he walked off. How many times this year has someone whispered something into Cody's ear? I don't get it. This is, I think, the 3rd time this year that we've seen that. As far as what he told him, I'll tell you exactly what he told him. He told him, just remember, you asked for this. That's what Owens said to Cody before he left. So they've introduced a knee injury now for the match tomorrow at Bash in Berlin. So expect that to play heavily into the match. If Cody beats Owens, is Owens going to kick his leg out of his leg? It would be kind of appropriate considering his name. I mean, that's where the Owens name comes from. He was a big Owen Hart fan. I think he named his son Owen, right? So maybe he'll pull an Owen and he'll kick Cody's leg out of his leg when the match is over out of frustration. It's possible. It's possible because that really is the story going into this match tomorrow. Can he be trusted, and is he going to turn on Cody Rhodes? Is Kevin Owens going to go heel again, or are they just going to tease it? Are they going to walk right up to the line but not actually pull the trigger and do it? I think they've done a very good job of building this match entirely around that question of whether or not Owens can be trusted. Is he or is he not? going to make the turn. This is a show that could definitely use another top heel. If you're asking me what would the best move be, it would be to turn Kevin Owens heel. I'm not convinced it's going to happen tomorrow, but I do think it probably is the smart move here, because this show could definitely use somebody like him in that spot at the top of the card. And frankly, Kevin Owens is a better heel than he is a babyface. And he's a pretty damn good babyface. But he's an even better heel. We also don't know, and this is something I was wondering, we also don't know whether or not they're going to headline with this tomorrow, or if they're going to go with Randy Orton and Gunther. I think Orton and Gunther should get the main event spot on that show. If they do, then this match here is probably going to open the card tomorrow. Whichever World Championship match does not close the show is going to open the show. I can't imagine they're going to put them back to back. I think there's a pretty good chance it's going to be this one. It could depend on what the finish is, though. In the off chance that Kevin Owens actually wins the title, they probably want to close the show with that. I can't imagine them opening the show with that. But I have a feeling these two are going to open the card tomorrow. Just how I feel. We got match number 4 between Andrade and Carmelo Hayes. Andrade came into this up 2-1 on Hayes. Andrade quickly landed a corkscrew plancha to Carmelo outside the ring. Back inside, Hayes came back with a springboard clothesline. The show went to commercial about a minute in. In the course of the match, one of the top turnbuckles was exposed when Hayes pulled the turnbuckle pad off. Andrade went to that corner. He paused when he realized that it was missing a turnbuckle pad. He turned into a super kick from Hayes, and then with both men on the middle rope, Andrade landed a springboard Spanish fly for a good near fall. Show went to a second commercial break. Later on, the two of them were battling on top. Andrade did a moonsault fall away slam for a near fall. Andrade perched Melo on the top in the corner with the exposed buckle. He was setting up for something, I don't know what it was, but Melo slipped out. Andrade fell face first down onto the exposed steel. Melo went to the top. He hit his nothing but net finish. He pinned Andrade to even the series up at 2 wins apiece. Another good match from these two. They work really well together. The crowd is whether it's in Berlin or back in the States, always gets up for it. They're consistently into these matches. And this wasn't even the best of the 4 they've had so far. But still good. Predictably, Carmelo ties things up as I figured he would. And now we get the deciding match. Now, I don't know if they're going to go to a best of 7. It's going to be at least a best of 5. It could go to 7. But whether it's ending at 5, whether it's ending at 7, I think that for as great as these matches have been so far, and having them on TV is fine. It's actually smart because you need to fill TV time, and these are great matches to throw out there on TV, not only to kill time, like this one went through 2 commercial breaks, but you want to have some good matches that you save for the television show. But I think as good as these matches have been, the finale, whenever that is, it really should be on a PLE. I don't know that it will, but if I'm Triple H, I'm booking that last match, whether it's match number 5 or match number 7. I'm trying to get that on a major show. The problem is they're not going to be on the show tomorrow, and they don't have another PLE again until October 5th, which is Bad Blood. So I would rather it go to a best of 7, so you can squeeze out 2 more matches on TV over the next few weeks, and then have match number 7, the deciding match, in Atlanta at Bad Blood. That way it doesn't get massacred by commercials. I'd like to see that final match be able to breathe and actually go without any commercial interruptions. The only way to do that is to get it on a PLE. If that means Triple H has to break his rule and have 6 matches instead of 5, then do it. Because they deserve that spot. In the main event, we had Nia Jax defending the WWE Women's Championship against Michin in a street fight. This had the usual WWE street fight plunder. You had your kendo sticks, you had your trash cans, you had your tables. In fact, Michin wheeled out a shopping cart filled with goodies and filled with weapons, like Raven did back in the day. Nia delivered a Uranagi slam at one point to Michin on the apron. and set up a table in the ring that Michin had introduced earlier on. Nia went to grab her. Michin, though, sprayed her in the face with a fire extinguisher. Michin then set up another table. This ended up propped up in the corner. And then grabbed a trash can from under the ring. Nia got up and attacked Michin with a chair, then placed her on one of the tables. Went to the ropes. Michin, though, sees this. She rolls off the table, goes to the corner where Nia was on the ropes, gets underneath her, and powerbombs Nia Jax through the table to a big pop. At that point, Tiffany Stratton's music hits, and everybody goes crazy because they're thinking they're going to get a cash-in. They're going to get a Money in the Bank cash-in. And here comes Tiffany Stratton with her pink briefcase, sprinting down to the ring. She hits Michin, though, with the briefcase, but then she looks down at Nia and she's thinking about it. Place is cheering her on, and she looks at the referee. The referee wants to know, you want to cash in? And she shakes her head yes, but then she looks down at Nia. Nia is conscious again. She looks up and sees Tiffany and is like, what the hell are you doing? And so then Tiffany says, oh, no, she has a change of heart. She ends up dragging Nia on top of Michin for the cover, and then Michin kicks out, which got a big reaction. So Tiffany went to the corner. She was setting up for the prettiest moonsault ever to Michin when Bayley's music hits. And I guarantee you this is the biggest pop that Bayley's theme song has ever gotten, because her theme song is not great. But they love Bayley here in Berlin. In fact, they were singing the song for her that you always hear on these international shows. This was Bayley's return. We have not seen her since she lost the title to Nia at SummerSlam. So she runs down to the ring. She's, bouncing down to the ring there. And so she gets in and she attacks Tiffany, ends up knocking her over the barricade outside the ring. Meanwhile, inside the ring, we've got Nia picking up Michin and delivering a Samoan drop through the table that was propped up in the corner. She then drags Michin to the opposite corner, places the trash can that was brought in earlier over her head, goes up to the middle rope, and squashes her on the inside of the garbage can with the Annihilator. And she pins her to retain the championship. It looked like when she hit the Annihilator, it looked like she sat down on the lower part of the trash can, not the upper part where her head would have been. But it's hard to tell. I mean, I don't know that I would have wanted to put my head in that trash can and waited for Nia to fall in just the right spot. I can just picture Michin's head exploding on the inside of that garbage can like a fucking watermelon at a Gallagher concert. Hopefully, she survived. And Nia Jax is still your women's champion. This was a match that was most definitely helped by a hot crowd. They were into pretty much everything on this show. So that made the show more fun than it would have been probably if it was in front of almost any other crowd, probably in this country. Like I said at the top, I thought overall it was an okay show. It was as a show, just a regular show, it was okay. As a go-home show, I didn't think it was that strong. And part of the reason is because, it's called a go-home show because it's the final show, your final real push for the pay-per-view. And they only have 2 SmackDown matches on this show tomorrow. So even though we had video packages galore for a lot of the other stuff, really they were only promoting 2 matches for the show tomorrow. And the rest of this stuff, look, as far as the matches were concerned, some really solid matches on this show. The LA Knight match with Ludwig Kaiser and the Andrade match with Carmelo Hayes. And the segment with Cody and KO, I thought was a nice little final push for their match as well. So that was SmackDown. Pretty straightforward stuff. We were gonna barrel on through this here. There really, beyond that, there really wasn't a whole lot else to get into here. But let's run down this card here because tomorrow is the Bash in Berlin. And I will be live here on YouTube as soon as the event is over for the full recap, as I was on Sunday. So we had a 1 o'clock Eastern start time for All In on Sunday, and then I was live as soon as it was over. It will be the same tomorrow for Bash in Berlin. Let's run down this card here because there aren't that many matches really to go through. I'll give my final predictions here. We have the Unholy Alliance here. The Unholy, not the Unholy Alliance, the Unholy Union. Unholy Alliance. I'm thinking of The Undertaker and The Big Show. The Unholy Union of Alba Fire and Isla Dawn defending the women's tag team titles against Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill. I've got Bianca and Jade to win the belts back, where I think this is going. We've got Damian Priest and Rhea Ripley in a mixed tag team match taking on Dominic Mysterio and Liv Morgan. I've got Priest and Rhea to win. Rhea then goes on to challenge Liv at Bad Blood for the women's title. CM Punk and Drew McIntyre one-on-one in a strap match. I'm going with CM Punk. Hard to imagine him losing 2 matches back-to-back. And if you want to set up for a third, then they should go into it tied at 1 apiece. This is clearly headed for Hell in a Cell in October. Now, the rules are, it's touch the turnbuckle. So traditional WWE strap match rules, no pinfalls, no submissions. Unless they change that, and maybe you could win by all 3 ways. But my understanding is the only way to win is by touching all 4 corners of the ring in succession. And we've seen this in strap matches before, where you have one guy, usually the heel, who's dragging the babyface behind him, touches one turnbuckle, the babyface touches it behind him without him knowing it. And then when you get to that 4th turnbuckle, the babyface sort of, dives in, touches it, and ekes out a win. I think that's how this match more or less is going to end up playing out, but Punk should win. We've got Cody Rhodes defending the WWE Championship against Kevin Owens. Do we or do we not get the heel turn? I'm torn on this. I'm going to say we don't. There'll be plenty of teases for it. I'm going to say we don't get the full-fledged heel turn on the show tomorrow, but Cody is going to retain the title. They will play up that knee injury. Owens will focus on it. Cody will be limping when this match is over, but he's not going to lose the title. And then we have Gunther defending the World Heavyweight Championship against Randy Orton. It's going to be a fun atmosphere in the building for that one, but Gunther ain't losing that title in the same calendar month that he won it. This is a man who went 666 days as the Intercontinental Champion. You don't think he's going to get a full 30 as the World Heavyweight Champion? You're out of your mind. The crowd reaction will be very interesting. We know people are going to love Gunther, but Randy Orton is pretty fucking popular overseas on these international shows. So I don't know that it's so much going to be a case of cheering Gunther wildly and booing Orton, or just cheering both men wildly, with Gunther being cheered just a little bit more. It's kind of similar to what we saw tonight with Ludwig Kaiser and LA Knight. I think that may be the dynamic for this match. But Orton is going to lose again. He's going to lose another PLE. He will be undefeated. And when I say undefeated, I mean undefeated in losses this year, because he has yet to win a PLE match in 2024. This one will continue that streak and will hopefully push him closer and closer to the inevitable heel turn that I think we all know is coming. We just don't know exactly when. A lot of it, I think, depends on how things go with Owens and if they drag that out for at least one more match, with him and Cody. I do wonder if they may be able to find or may want to find a way to try to drag things out enough that they save Cody and Orton for WrestleMania. But a lot of that is going to depend on The Rock. As far as we know, it's going to be Cody and Rock, and that certainly is the match they teased earlier this year after WrestleMania. Plans change. The Rock, as far as he goes, who knows, right? He says he wants to wrestle. Maybe he will, maybe he won't. Maybe he gets busy, maybe he doesn't. But I do wonder if they might want to push that Cody and Orton feud off until we get closer to Mania. It is a WrestleMania-worthy feud, but it's not as big as Cody and The Rock. So if The Rock is game and he wants to do it, then that is the bigger match to do. I just don't know exactly when we're going to get Cody and Orton. I don't know that it's going to be something that kicks off at Bad Blood. I think they could get another match out of it between Cody and KO. The story between them is really starting to get interesting. And maybe we get a Kevin Owens heel turn, but just not tomorrow. Maybe they save it for the second match. Maybe they save it for several weeks from now. That's the one thing I'm not 100% sure about. What I am sure about is that we're not getting a new champion in either match tomorrow. Those are my predictions for the Bash in Berlin. Here's the Twitter poll. What did you think of SmackDown before the Bash in Berlin? 70% thumbs up for tonight's show and just shy of 30% thumbs down. So go ahead and get those votes on it and give me a follow while you're at it. If you are on X, I know many of you have fled. I don't blame you. But if you are on there, at Solomonster is my handle. Go ahead and follow me. Let's take a look at your super chats here. A nice tidy review to get us on out of here because there just wasn't a whole hell of a lot going on this show tonight. We got to get ready for Berlin tomorrow. We had Berlin tonight, but the bigger one is tomorrow. We're currently sitting at 260 likes. That is unacceptable. I know tonight was a light night, but still. I'm sorry. That is unacceptable. You got to get those likes up. All right, let's take a look here at your messages. Fire Panda, I know you were number one. Fire Panda is always number one. But Fire Panda, thank you for the super chat, says, I have a suggestion for Sound of Gamer. By the way. You should play the first Five Nights at Freddy's game. Fun fact, Five Nights at Freddy's turned 10 years old a few weeks ago. I never saw that movie, by the way. So I'm not even sure what it's about. Never saw the movie, never played the game. Prince Vegeta with the $9.99. I listened to your top 25 SmackDown moments, and I got two other matches for you. JBL against Eddie Guerrero, steel cage match. I always enjoyed the matches they had, and Benoit versus Lesnar from December of 2003. I don't remember the cage match with JBL and Eddie. I remember the Benoit Lesnar match. That was a very good match. One of the things I remember most about that match, I'm almost positive, is that Brock used the Brock Lock, the stretch muffler on Benoit in that match. So good stuff. Good choices there. Chris AXC with a couple of super chats. Making up for lost time tonight, do you think Hogan's rise would have been hampered if he did not have Real American as his theme? No. No, I think Hogan's run would have been just as big with probably whatever other theme song he would have ended up with. I mean, before Real American, he was coming out to Eye of the Tiger by Survivor. So, I mean, if they wanted to get the rights to it, they probably could have used it. But that was his theme before Real American. So I'm sure they would have come up with, I mean, look, he was their golden goose. They were always going to come up with something good for him. I'm glad they went with Real American, though, because I think it's the greatest theme song in wrestling history. And Chris says, is it almost a lock now that Sid will get his Hall of Fame induction? Less deserving are in. Was there any heat on Sid delaying his induction previously? Well, Sid believed that Vince McMahon just didn't like him. You know, from all the issues they had in the past, and he just felt like Vince had something against him, and now that Vince is gone, I mean, he did an interview a month before he passed away and said that now that Vince is gone, I think my chances maybe are better. Hopefully they're better of going into the Hall of Fame, and then he died. I think he is going to be in the Hall of Fame. I don't know when. AAA, I mean, we had a very small class, I think, this year of people. So if they're not putting in that many people at once, it could be a while before Sid gets in. And now he's not here anymore, so it's not like they have to rush to get him in because they waited too fucking long. The only one to ever, out of all the holders of the Winged Eagle title, okay, the one over my shoulder right there, every man in that company that ever held that Winged Eagle belt, Sid is the only one not to be in the Hall of Fame. Only one. So he'll get in. I don't know when. I thought Lex Luger was going in this year for sure, and he didn't go in. So when he goes in, that's up to Triple H. I have no idea. They waited this long. I mean, how the hell are we supposed to know? It's still basically at the whims of one man. It just so happened that one man is now different than the person it was before. Big Show's ladder. We are going with Solo and Cody for Bad Blood. Oh, I hope not. I'm honestly convinced they're holding off on Orton turning on Cody because they're not confident that they have Rock for Mania, or that he's facing Cody.
I am the learning tree.
That's an interesting observation.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Uffman. You know what? They may not be confident. I mean, again, for years, Rock would say that, he's interested, he wants to do this. WrestleMania 39, he, was going to wrestle Roman, and then he didn't. Even though Rock is on the board, you would think now he's on more solid ground. They can get some kind of commitment from him now that he has some sort of direct involvement with the company. That doesn't mean anything. Another movie could pop up, or he can get hurt. Anything can happen. So it's possible. I can't tell you that. I can't tell you that it's not. It's certainly possible. Jerome Eugenio, happy Friday night, he says to everybody. Happy Friday night, Jerome. And Raymond, with that $12 learning tree that came out at the beginning of the stream. Raymond Guajardo. Thank you very much, Raymond. Oh, we got our boy Drew Johnson again. Got to give him a shout out for that $50 bomb. So good, I'll have to read it twice. CM Punk, he says, let's fucking go. HBK is the GOAT. Bad Blood 97, baby. Drew, thank you. Donnie, thank you for the 23. Sending good vibes. Hisco 95, hey Solo, if WWE gave you the option to use one of these wrestlers for House of Glory, who would you pick? Chad Gable, Ilya Dragunov, or Andrade? I would love to bring Chad Gable into House of Glory. And as far as in order, it would be Gable, Dragunov, and then Andrade. Any of those three would be great, but I would love to be able to bring Chad Gable into HOG. Mr. Team, bring it. Owens needs to superplex Mama Rhodes to add heat. Now, you can't do that. See, only Rock can get heat by using Mama Rhodes. You can't infringe on the Rock's gimmick there, so. I smoke a lot of weed. Oh, my boy is back. Where have you been? He's been smoking a lot of weed, probably. Dropping a $9.99 on me. Should wrestlers take boxing classes and improve their least devastating maneuver that they have? Could this lead to personal feuds being more intense when it comes time to come to blows during a big angle? I don't think they need to take... I mean, it's an interesting idea. I don't think they need to take boxing classes. I think they could probably incorporate some exercises, down at the Performance Center, I guess, with some of the newer people they're training. I just made a comment about this the other day about how you look at some of these old school guys like Jeff Jarrett and Bret Hart and Scott Hall and Jerry Lawler and Steve Austin, and they knew how to throw a believable looking punch. And a lot of wrestlers now don't. And I don't know where, there was a breakdown somewhere along the way, I guess, in the way those guys learned and the way they're taught today. I do think in some ways it's a lost art. And it's the most common move that every single wrestler uses, is the punch. It's the punch and the kick. So you should want it to look really good and really snug, obviously without hurting the other person. But make it look as good as possible, because it's the move that you will use the most if you are a professional wrestler. So I think that, at the PC, they could probably incorporate, or maybe even bring some of these guys in and say, hey, why don't you show them how to throw a punch, and let them sort of be their guide by that. But boxing classes, maybe it wouldn't be a terrible idea. I just don't know that you need to necessarily have boxing classes. I see what you're saying, though. I agree, though. I wish that there was some more intensity when it comes to that. That isn't always the case with some of these guys or girls. Chris AXC, with Judgment Day losing Priest and Rhea, do you think adding Omos to the group would be a good use for him and add size to an otherwise small group? I don't, because I just don't, there's nothing more that you can really do with him. Ideally, it would go to somebody who you could actually push with the hope that you can elevate them. And when I say elevate them, I mean elevate them as far as using them higher up on the card. You can't really do that with Omos. And I really don't think that group would be a good fit for him anyway. Chris also says, are you disappointed in how Okada has been used so far in AEW? Just thrown in there at All In, he feels less important now than he ever did in New Japan. He does. He definitely does not feel like as big of a star as he was in New Japan. But in New Japan, he was the guy. In AEW, he is one of several guys. And that's the difference. And it would have been the same, by the way, in WWE. He wouldn't have been the guy. He would have been one of several guys. And the jury is certainly out on how WWE would have utilized him. I kind of wanted to see him go there because I was curious in a Triple H-led WWE how he would be used. In AEW, it's a very mixed bag with Okada. On the one hand, Tony Khan hasn't, it's not like he's being jobbed out. He's undefeated. He's unbeaten. Tony Khan put a title on him almost instantly as soon as he debuted. They included him in what was supposed to be the top heel faction in the company. That faction has largely been a bust, and that's not because of Okada. So I think Tony Khan in some ways has tried to go out of his way to book Okada strong and do right by him, but at the same time, how does he not have a solid program heading into your biggest show of the year? I really think that in Tony's mind, everything was building to Kenny Omega and Kazuchika Okada at Wembley Stadium. And when Kenny had to have surgery, because they weren't sure if he was going to need surgery for the hernia, well, what was it, hernia, I guess, or not hernia, diverticulitis. He previously had a hernia. They didn't know what his medical status was going to be. When that fell through, they didn't have a backup plan for Okada. Because you can't tell me that as soon as he signed Okada, that Tony Khan wasn't instantly thinking Okada Omega on American soil. And I really think that it was just a case of, well, we didn't get Kenny back, and so we don't really have anything solid for Okada to do. And then I see him on TV on Wednesday, and he's still doing these comedy segments with Mercedes. Now, he can be very entertaining in that way. I'm not saying he has to be serious all the time. It's okay to have fun with some of these segments, but at the same time, what you're doing, I think, is diminishing whatever drawing power he may have. You don't want to book him that way on a consistent basis. You know, you want to try to protect whatever aura he has left. It's definitely not the same as it was in New Japan, for sure. So am I disappointed? I would say in many ways, yes. It's been a mix. It's not all bad, but it's been a mixed bag with him so far. Retro KOH. I think Kevin Owens' heel tease is just a red herring. The real turn comes with Orton. Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of leaning that way myself. I just don't see them turning both of them heel. And how could Orton not be the one going heel at some point? Of the two, it would be way more likely to be him than Owens. The Juliet says, please keep Solo away from the title. I have no interest in challenging for the title. You don't got to worry about me. Jamie Dorsch, better John Cena rival, Orton or Edge? Edge. Alex, Brother Solo. Is the Punk versus Drew feud one of those feuds where the storytelling itself will be better than the matches? You know, that's a good question. It may be. It may be, but we've only had the one match so far at SummerSlam. It wasn't a bad match, but it also just didn't have the intensity that it should have had for a feud that's been boiling for so many months. They're going to have match number 2 tomorrow. I'm sure we're going to get match number 3 of Bad Blood. Ask me that question when the feud is over. Uffman Entertainment with the 12. At the SummerSlam 1999, should it have been Rock versus Austin versus Triple H instead of Foley, Austin, and Triple H? That would have been a much better match, but I think that was probably what they had in mind months before for Survivor Series. I mean, that was going to be the match at Survivor Series. It just didn't work out because Austin he couldn't go anymore. He had to have the neck surgery. So it just boiled down to that. They may have already had a plan a few months earlier that, okay, where are we going here? Survivor Series, we're going to do that match. Let's get the belt on Triple H in the meantime. And the way to do that is to utilize Mick Foley so that we don't have to have him pin Steve Austin at SummerSlam because maybe Austin didn't want to do the job at SummerSlam. That was always the story. But then Austin did end up doing a job for him at No Mercy 2 months later. It's not like Austin just didn't do any jobs for Triple H. He did the job for Triple H in No Mercy. He did the job for Triple H in the 3 Stages of Hell match 2 years later at No Way Out. Austin did far fewer jobs for The Rock. How many singles matches did Austin get pinned by The Rock? I think 1, right? Which was his last match for 19 years. The Juliet says, best face turn. Best face turn? I don't know. There have been some great heel turns. Bret Hart back in 97 being one of them. Best babyface turns, though. I feel like there's just been so many of them that I'm just kind of drawing a blank on any single one. I don't know. I have to think about that. Alex. With the Judgment Day stable becoming paramount in Raw, are you flabbergasted that they have... Boy, he's using big words here. Are you flabbergasted that they haven't revived the Judgment Day pay-per-view for such a stable? Yeah, I am a little bit, actually. That would have been an appropriate thing for them to do at some point. And we never got it. The Learning Sicko. Dr. Bropio. Shane throws the best punches in... Yeah, Shane. I'll tell you what, if you're going to have boxing matches at the PC, they should invite Shane to come down. He could probably learn a thing or two instead of his shadow boxing. Paul Van Summeren with the $5 says, Shmula is the queen. Bad News Barrett is an underrated gimmick.
I am the learning tree.
And I am the learning tree.
Thanks, guys.
What is your go-to White Castle order? First of all, I haven't had White Castle in years. I don't even have a White Castle that's really around here anymore. But my go-to White Castle order, it was just, you know, just the basic burgers. Give me the onion, give me the pickle. Give me the little tiny burgers, give me about 3 or 4 of them and I'm good. Well, let's be honest, probably 5 or 6 of them, but that's it. Nothing special. The basic order. That was always fine with me. And then I had onion breath for the next 3 days after that. Every time I would belch for the next 3 or 4 days, it was like, oh, I can still taste the White Castle. And the Juliet had to do one learning tree super chat. Did you though? Did you? Now I'm happy you did. The Juliet's had some good questions tonight. Thank you, brother. Thank you for the support. I appreciate it. Think I'm caught up on your super chats there. Thank you guys for hanging out with me here on a Friday night. I do appreciate it very much. For those of you, I know it was kind of a quiet night, especially with this being the go home and whatnot to Bash in Berlin. But to show you my appreciation, even though we didn't hit the goal, we're going to be the booker anyway because you guys fucking rock. So let's do it.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is now time to be the booker.
See, I swerved you. I swerved you. But because the super chat support was pretty decent tonight, I want to show my appreciation for you guys. We're going to have a happy Friday send-off here for you. We're going to do some Be the Booker. here on a Friday night. Don't you just love it? Don't you just love it? We had a very interesting night with our old pal Gangrel the other night. Let's hope we don't have a repeat of that again. And maybe, hey, you know, if we have a big enough stream tomorrow, we may do Be the Booker again in less than 24 hours, but that's going to be up to you guys. I'm not going to be so nice tomorrow. All right, we begin with the Body Donnas. We've got Skip, we've got Zip, we've got Bitch in the middle. Look at this, former tag team champions. Skip and Zip. What a gimmick. What a gimmick. The Body Donnas are going to defend those tag team titles against Top Flight, Darius and Dante Martin. The Body Donnas and Top Flight. Chris Candido was quite great. And if you would have had Chris Candido, like in ECW back in the day against a Darius Martin or a Dante Martin, well, more so Dante. Dante's the more aerial of the two. I actually think they would have had a really good match, but that don't mean that I'm going to give it the bell. That doesn't mean that that is a tag team match that I would book on my card. I'm just trying to put over Chris Candido because he was fucking great. And it's a damn shame how things ended up for him. Let's try again. We failed the first time, but see, the good thing about Be the Booker is we get 3 chances. It's like a genie. You get 3 wishes. Let's rub the genie and see what pops out. Love to rub her. Mariah May, the new AEW Women's World Champion. Fine way to kick off Women's Be the Booker, I would say. They bloody Tony Storm there. Mariah May is going to defend her Women's Championship against, oh my, Io Sky. Io Sky and Mariah May. I think the internet may explode. Now that's a match. That's a match right there. I'd love to have that on my show. Instant bell. Did not even have to think about it. And Men's Be the Booker. Take it for a spin. See where it lands. It lands on Zombie Eddie Kingston. Look at this. This is like the perfect photo. This is for that first Anarchy in the Arena match when he came back down to the ring with the gas can. Just look at this guy. It's like something out of a horror movie. Eddie Kingston is in our main event. But against who? Let's find out. It'll be Eddie Kingston against the rated R superstar Edge. But what kind of match will Eddie Kingston and Edge be having? Why don't we add a stipulation to it? I'm feeling frisky. Eddie Kingston and Edge are going to have themselves, oh no, an Iron Man match. I don't know if Eddie Kingston in an Iron Man match is the best idea, but see, I was hoping we would get some kind of like exploding barbed wire death match, hardcore match. Does anybody really want to see Edge and Eddie Kingston in an Iron Man match? I certainly don't. Well, see, now I ruined it. Now I had to go and ruin it. This is the risk we take when it comes to the stipulations. See, we had a good night. We had 2 out of 3. But we end Be the Booker, unfortunately, with 1 for 3. We went 1 for 3. So that didn't really work out. Good job, Booker Man. Well, hey, sometimes you win some, sometimes you lose some. What can I say? The Learning Sicko. Dr. Bropio. Guess we growing trees again. Thanks, guys. For now. You never know when I may lose my shit again. Devin from New Jersey. Hey, Solo. Ever brawled with coworkers before? Coworkers. No. No coworkers. Not yet. Cameron Spencer with the $9.99. Did you see the clip of a man doing a Spanish fly to a man off of a second-floor apartment building through a windshield? One man broke his spine, and the other one broke his neck. I don't know why you put a K in front of that, but your thoughts if you saw it.
Yeet.
Yeet. That's my thought. Yeet. No, I did not see it. And as far as what my thoughts are, play stupid games, win stupid prizes. I say it every time. Every time somebody does something stupid like that. Play stupid games, win stupid prizes. He'll have plenty of time now as he's convalescing in his body cast to question his life choices, and perhaps in the future, if he's ever able to walk again, he won't do that. Sometimes you just got to let people be stupid and make their own mistakes. Gold standard. AEW has become more sports entertainment than WWE, while WWE tells good stories and puts on good matches. Well, gold standard, AEW puts on some pretty damn good matches themselves, and they have some good stories too. Now, they may not be as good as the ones in WWE, which is certainly your opinion, and I'm not even saying that you're wrong on that. But let's not imply that AEW has no good matches and no good stories, especially coming off of that show we had on Sunday. Pisco95, thank you for the $16. Maybe The Rock did not want the match with Roman at WrestleMania 39 because he was supposed to lose. And the reason he pushed for it at WrestleMania 40 was because now he had enough influence to book himself to win. Just a wild theory I had. That'd be pretty cold, man, if he was going to play politics to make sure that he didn't put his cousin over. I don't know about that. I don't know if I subscribe to that theory. Well, The Rock is very protective about how he is portrayed and how he is made to look on TV. Boney, Edge against Eddie Kingston, one-legged match. You know what? It didn't even occur to me, but you're right. They both have one leg. Maybe they could have a wheelchair match. They could wheel each other. Yeah, they could wheel themselves around. Since Edge has a broken leg and Eddie Kingston just had ACL surgery. And our boy I Smoke a Lot of Weed is back. Look at this, with another $9.99 that he could have spent on weed, but he spent it on me. Staying on topic, The Miz should take kickboxing classes. I've never been a fan of him throwing those kicks. He implemented it in his arsenal during his Bryan feud over 10 years, and they are still terrible. Yes, they are. And I always wished he would stop doing those, and yet he still does. He continues on. So here's what I propose. Instead of him taking kickboxing classes, you book him in a match with a kickboxer and just let him kick the shit out of him. See, I like that idea more. Or better yet, just call up Steve Blackman and find out what he's up to. Bring him in for a few matches and put him in the ring with The Miz. I really like that idea. Maybe we'll book that and be the booker one day. Steve Blackman against The Miz. They're both in there. Or Blackman was. I don't know if I took him out. I think he's still in there. They can have an ass-kicking contest, says Daddy Ugarte. Yeah, man. The Miz wants to throw those kicks. Let's see him throw those kicks against somebody who actually knows how to throw those kicks. He won't be throwing those kicks no more. Or The Miz could just retire. Yeah, well, look, I mean, if the Miz retired today, he's set for life. He's made his money. He's got fucking Maurice that he goes home to every night. I mean, he doesn't have to work another match for the rest of his life if he doesn't want to. I don't know why he would ever want to step foot in the ring with Steve Blackman anyway. Anyway, thank you guys for humoring me here on a Friday night. We talked about SmackDown, talked about Bash in Berlin predictions, and one more time here, I will be live with you tomorrow afternoon. I'm guessing around 4:30 Eastern time, but sometime between 4 and 5 in the afternoon, just before dinner time. I'll be live on YouTube to go over the entire show. We'll talk about it. Bring your super chats. Bring your thumbs so you can hit that thumbs up tomorrow. I look forward to seeing you all here. Be well. Stay safe. Have a great night. And we'll be right back here in less than 24 hours to talk about the Bash in Berlin. I will see you guys there. Just can't get away from this tree. Snapping, slowly snapping.